Could you instantly shut off water if it was flowing into your house? My name is Sean Larson. I'm a real estate broker, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Today, we're just going to have some tips about how to control water in your home or hopefully prevent damage. Because when you think about it, that high pressure water coming into your home's plumbing has plenty of opportunity to start leaking. It could be toilets, it could be sinks, it could be the pipe connections, or it could be that you're just having an emergency and it's overflowing for some reason. So you have several opportunities in a home to shut that down. Sometimes it's going to be local to where the leaking or the overflowing is occurring, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes you'll be able to shut down the whole house. So let's talk a little bit about all of those. The first one is going to be more local to where the leaking or overflowing is occurring. So you've probably noticed that at the base of each toilet where the water feed line or the water supply line goes into the wall, you're going to have a valve there. That valve can be one of two types. It can be one that screws in and out, much like a hose bib, where if you screw it in clockwise, it will shut it off, and if you unscrew it counterclockwise, it opens it up. You'll also have a type that just turns 90 degrees. So just remember, if you ever encounter a valve that just turns 90 degrees, if the lever is parallel to the line, it is flowing. If it's perpendicular to the line, it's shut off. So you will see those type of valves around the toilets. You'll see them under sinks. So if you run into overflowing toilets or maybe even a leaking toilet, maybe you've got a valve going bad inside the tank or something, and you just want to temporarily shut off the water. Maybe it's not an emergency. You just want to shut it down until it gets replaced. You can just turn that valve off and reduce the feed to the toilet. Same thing on sinks. If you've got an overflowing sink or anything like that, usually under the vanity or under the counter, you're going to see those valves, and you can just turn those off. Overflowing tub, that's a different story. You don't have those valves immediately on a tub because the plumbing and the valve is behind the wall. So that's a little bit of a different emergency, which we're going to talk about how to shut that down here in just a second. Because those valves are going to be local to each scenario, each bathroom, each kitchen, things like that. And speaking of kitchens, if you could just imagine how many little plastic parts there are in all of the appliances you have. Your dishwasher, your refrigerator, your ice line to your refrigerator, your ice maker, and that's all that's holding back that water pressure. So it's very easy to spawn a leak in your kitchen, and you want to save your floors. You don't want all that damage, so you want to shut that down quickly. And so some of those items aren't going to have valves that are easily accessible. For instance, you can't just readily pull out your dishwasher or usually slide out your refrigerator to turn the valve off. So that's what we're going to talk about, being able to shut off your entire home at one time. Maybe you have water coming in and you don't know where it's coming from. So most homes, and this is barring homes that may be extremely old to maybe where it wasn't code and they didn't put these in, but more current homes are going to have a main supply shut off somewhere in the home. Quite often, it's going to be around your water heater because that's usually where the supply line comes into your home. And it's going to be a valve much like, only larger than what is going to be near your toilet and the sink. More often, I think you're going to see these be the 90-degree valves where you'll simply grab the lever and turn it 90 degrees, and that is going to shut off your entire home. You might find the screw type. That might be on older homes, but I think you're going to see more of the lever type. If you do not know where that is in your home, go today and find it. Because what will happen is if you have some type of emergency, or maybe you can't shut off the valve by the toilet, by the sink, or maybe it is your shower valve has gone bad and you can't control the water, this one valve will shut down your entire home. So like I say, if you don't know where it is today, you go find it and learn how it works. If it is packed around and you've stored stuff around that valve, clear it out. Because if you're going to need that in an emergency, you're not going to want to unload all that stuff trying to find that valve. Now keep in mind, around that valve, you might also see what's called a pressure reducing valve. They're usually kind of conical or triangular kind of looking. That's kind of a different topic. That just reduces the pressure from the street or wherever you get your water to a level that is acceptable for all your plumbing fixtures. That's not exactly what you're looking for today's topic. Today, you're just looking for the valve on how to shut your entire home off. Okay, so let's say that you don't have one of those, or maybe you can't find it. Here's the backup to that. So before the water hits that valve, it also comes through a valve closer to the street. or somewhere on your property if you are connected to a city supply or some type of municipality or something like that. So if you've got a well system, you've got a different arrangement, you're gonna have to find out what your setup is and how to shut that off. But if you're coming from a city connection, somewhere on your property, maybe on the neighboring property if you've got some type of easement or shared service, there's going to be a water box or a water meter box that's traditionally cement. Sometimes they're synthetic material, but usually cement. They're below ground, and you're going to see the plate that is kind of even with your lawn or whatever your property is like, faux turf, or it varies, depends on the area of the country. But below that, there is going to be your water meter, and that is the part that measures the water that is coming from your water service and then is being used by your home, and that's how they, of course, calculate your bill. Now, below that box, how far down that meter is, that's going to vary with region. It's going to vary per installation. Sometimes they're pretty close to the service, and all you have to do is open the door of that box, which is usually iron. You open that, and you can reach down there. Same thing. You're going to see those are usually more of like a dial, and it's going to kind of have a bump kind of on the top because they can use a special wrench to turn that. You also see maybe a couple holes in case they should need to padlock that for some reason. Your meter could be farther down. You could be in a region where they set the meters lower in the ground for freezing purposes. So no matter how far down that is, you will want to reach that down and turn that off. And if it's further down, they actually make a special wrench. You can usually get them at home improvement stores. They're probably about 30 or 36 inches long, and all it is basically a piece of metal rebar iron, and it kind of has a fork at the end that lets you slip it over the knob and more easily turn it with a handle. That not only gives you the torque of the turn, and it also gives you the reach in case your meter is set low in the ground. So if you are to shut off your water at that point, it pretty much does the same thing as the main supply line did near the water heater or wherever that is in your home. So you actually have two options to shut off your entire home. So what we personally do is, if we're going out of town for a while, in order to make sure water damage doesn't occur from something bursting while we're gone, we actually turn our main supply off when we're traveling, just to ensure maybe a plastic part doesn't fail on the dishwasher while we're gone and we have water pouring on our floors for a week or something like that. So I would highly recommend finding your main supply, and when you go out of town, I would shut yours off too. Another source of leaking or potential leaking is going to be your laundry room or your utility room. You're going to see where you have the fixture in the wall there that supplies your washer with the water. You'll usually have rubber hoses there. It's often recommended to use steel braided hoses in addition to that. Just a tougher wall on them, less bursting chances on those. Again, if we're going to be gone for a while and maybe we don't shut the main off, we'll still shut the water supply off to the washer, because you figure that line comes out of the wall and is just hanging over your floor before it hits your washer. So that's an additional safety burst there, or protection there. So just look for all of the little valves, because when it's in the heat of the moment and you've got water pouring everywhere, you don't want to have to try to figure out how to turn it off. You want to know how to do it already. So that is the tip for the day. Try to control the water leaking in your house in an emergency, because it will prevent so much damage, because a little bit of water can really do some damage to flooring, especially hardwood flooring. And if it's a slow leak, you might not even know about it. You could have an ice line dripping. In fact, I'll give you a story. I had a client recently, and she purchased a home that was, I guess, maybe about 2 years old or so. And the ice line to the refrigerator probably had been slowly dripping since the home was built. And so it did cause some hardwood damage. It caused what we call cupping, which is a water problem, causes the boards to kind of warp a little bit. And so it's an innocent leak that was probably from that refrigerator from the manufacturing date of it. So it can occur like that and kind of sneak up on you. So just be sure to know where your water sources are and how to shut them off when you need it. So that is today's tip. Again, my name is Sean Larson, real estate broker. I hope you have a fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon.